Hey, it is Debbie Potts, and I wanted to do one more, maybe not the last, podcast on how to be healthy from the inside out, looking at gut health. As I do functional lab testing with clients and I correlate their data with their biometrics as Oura Ring, a Whoop Band, your Garmin, we can see all this data on Chronometer. I use Practice Better for my clients so that it syncs together and Training Peaks. And I read out on looking at this data and what does it mean? What patterns do we see and how I can help you figure out how to live your best life so you can be healthy from the inside out, so you can thrive as you age. So let's dive into heart rate variability and the correlations with your heart rate variability with your gut health. So we know what is heart rate variability, HRV, and we are learning more on why it might get lower as well as what makes it higher. First, let's go into this article about probiotics, postbiotics, the best sources of gut health and inflammation, Dr. Jockers. Then I want to talk to you about the article my friend Jody, who I was reaching out saying, hey, I'm really fascinated by heart rate variability and leaky gut and how we can look at heart rate variability connection, as well as a research article finding more on heart rate variability as a marker of gut health. So lots of info out there. I've been trying to put it in blogs. You can see many leaky gut. What is leaky gut? What is heart rate variability? What's a connection? Looking at short chain fatty acids I did in a previous episode, and also looking at natural treatment for leaky gut. Also, Dr. Tom O'Brien has amazing resources too on his website, as well as we talked to Dr. William Davis on super gut, and we talked to another doctor on leaky gut, heart rate variability, and healing, like Dr. Vincent Pedre. So head to all these resources. You can find them on previous podcasts, but let's dive into first continuation because we talked about leaky gut a little bit, but talking about postbiotics, best sources of gut health and inflammation level. So we want to test and I guess learn about where your microbiome is. So doing a gut test, we can identify what's going on, what are the inflammatory markers, where are you in that journey? Prebiotic foods, probiotic foods, postbiotics. What does that mean? Here's a great infographic on the video. Prebiotics feed, I think of them as fertilizer for your garden. Probiotics are live gut microorganisms, so the good and the bad bacteria, and the good bacteria provide health benefits to our body. Probiotics help fend off harmful bacteria species in the gut. And then we have postbiotics. I think of this as probiotic poop, but they're not really pooping, but this is the metabolites produced through probiotics through fermentation that possesses health promoting effects and protective roles. So we talked a little bit about this when we talked about short chain fatty acids, butyrate production, propionate, and acetate as microbial metabolites, and the role in the gut that specifically butyrate plays in the GI tract and the maintenance of your mucosal barrier, your gut, and your metabolic health. And that short chain fatty acid production is essential for gut integrity, regulation of your luminal pH, mucosa barrier, mucus production, and fuel for epithelial cells, and the effects on your mucosal immune function. So postbiotics, that's what that includes, short chain fatty acids. Dr. Jockers, another great article going into not just what postbiotics, but backing up and going into what prebiotics are. So a non-digestible dietary fiber found in various plant foods. The human body is unable to break down prebiotic fibers, which means they move through the upper portion of your GI tract in an undigested form. After moving through the small intestine, they finally arrive in your colon. They end up being fermented by your gut microbiome. Prebiotics end up feeding the friendly bacteria or probiotics in your gut. They help create a variety of important nutrients, including, we just said, short chain fatty acids as butyrate, acetate, propionate, that supports a healthy microbiome. What are prebiotic rich foods? Asparagus, Jerusalem artichokes, apples, dandelion skins, onions, garlic, bananas, leek, jicama root, yacon root. While prebiotics has many gut health benefits, they're not right for everyone. So you have to make sure these foods are okay with you. Some people don't do well with onions and garlic. So you need to test them and individualize these recommendations. While prebiotics may have many gut health, they say they may not be right for everyone. So some people, too many prebiotics can irritate your gut wall lining or your microbiome specifically and need only moderate amounts. Again, less is more. When we hear something is good for us, it's a Goldilocks effect. How much is beneficial and how much is overpowering? Like when I give someone a biofilm disruptor or suggest for them to take antimicrobials to kill off some bad bacteria, dysbiosis, opportunistic bacteria, they have a parasite. So they start taking twice as much as suggested on the bottle because they self-treat and follow the protocol suggested for themselves, but they often think more is better. But then you get die off too quickly, you can't keep up, and your body can't detoxify fast enough. So less is more is not better. What are prebiotics? So good infographic. Again, I love everything they have as infographics on Dr. Jockers. So prebiotics are, again, types of fiber that feed your good bacteria in your gut, help them grow strong. Prebiotics are what you cannot digest, but our gut microbiome and our intestines metabolize them and create postbiotic nutrients as short chain fatty acids. So onions, garlics might not be good for you. There's avocados, there's dandelion greens, and other plant foods. So it's like watering your garden. Here's a great graph here. What foods, what prebiotic fiber is in there? Pectin, inulin, beta glucan is in oats, but we don't want oats for most of us. Onions, but onions has that fructoglycosaccharides. So if you can't do FODMAPs, garlic and onions, I know, are out in our family. The garlic and onions can be not too great for some people, as one of my family members. And so we have to eliminate those, like fajitas or Greek salad. We realize, okay, everything in here makes us burp. So we need to cut those out. Now, key phytochemicals in here, we've got apples are good polyphenols. We've got asparagus have antioxidant nutrients, polyphenols in avocado, flavonoids, allicin is in garlic. So if you can't do garlic itself and we're doing antimicrobial, allicin is the extract from garlic that you can buy on Full Script and get just a drop of the garlic extract, allicin. So a certain good part of onions. So again, if you can't do onions, you can get the supplement separately. Okay, so probiotics we've been diving into. We have 300 trillion bacteria living inside us. So this is what's crazy. You can think of it this way. We have more bacteria than ourselves. So are we the host of the bacteria? We're just like a turtle, tortoise shell, and the inside, we're just carrying around this bacteria. So we're the host of these bacteria. So the goal is to have the balance, Goldilocks effect, more beneficial bacteria than harmful ones. We want to not overpower on too much of one thing. So we want a garden that's filled with variety. Probiotics are healthy bacteria found in your gut, various health benefits, digestion, better immune system, healthier skin, improved mental and brain health, reduce inflammation, lower risk of disease. So probiotics can come in many forms. Probiotic rich foods, fermented vegetables, sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, yogurt as our super gut yogurt, kombucha, but you got to watch the sugar. Some of those kombuchas that are in the grocery stores are really, you got to make your own, I think. While most people thrive on these foods, they're not right for everyone. So this is what it gets really confusing. This is why I'm doing this podcast. Someone asked me a question. Can I eat this certain food if this is good for me, but it's not working in my body? So while most people thrive on a lot of these fermented vegetables, but if you have a high histamine intolerance, fermented foods can trigger your histamine. So we want to avoid, but not, it's more, why is this happening? So maybe we need more bacteria that can help us with histamine. So we talked about that with Dr. Ben Lynch has Seeking Health information on histamine, SNPs, and histamine bacteria. You can get histoplex, I think it's called, supplement, probiotics for histamine tolerance. So interesting. Again, what is right for you? We need to personalize all this information because it's very overwhelming, and all these great foods that are prebiotics, probiotics, and we'll get into postbiotics, but they're not all good for everybody. So we need to pick which ones work well for us. All right. So many people can benefit from these. So making the yogurt, as we talked to Dr. Bill Davis, digestive systems, gut microbiome imbalances, so that you can take supplements, but I'm really loving my microbiome yogurt I'm making. Now, if you have SIBO, we're going to talk to, I got it right here, the digestive test. You can do breath test by Food Marble. We're meeting with Angus next week from Ireland, and we're going to go over how you could test SIBO breath test at home to figure out what foods work best for you. Now, choosing soil-based probiotic, that can help for most people, as with SIBO. SIBO, spore-based probiotic is what we talked for years with Karan from Megaspore Probiotics, so Microbiome Labs. There's different supplements. You can look on my full script, but they have many Proflora 4Rs, for example. A lot of spore-based probiotics are growing out there. So certain bacteria, this article says, can be triggering for people with SIBO, but fine without SIBO. So you have to know what's right for you. So that's where I like to do the GI test, a stool test, to figure out what probiotics could you benefit from. Let's see what you already have and what you're really low in and create that balance. So the benefits: immune system, protection against infection, digestive health, nutrient absorption, metabolic byproduct formation as the short chain fatty acids and butyrate we talked about, aid in weight loss, improve in brain health. So there's benefits of probiotics, but the store probiotics are not the same that we use making our super gut yogurt, or what you'll see in a full script supplement, different level of probiotics. So don't buy this stuff in the grocery store, refrigerators. I wouldn't recommend that. I would look what probiotics you're taking. Don't get them at CVS or somewhere. We want to make sure it's going to bypass the stomach acid and get to your intestines. All right, what are postbiotics? So postbiotics is a preparation microorganism and their component set confers with a health benefit on the host. So what does that mean? Postbiotics may contain intact inanimate microbial cells and/or microbial cell fragment structures, cell walls, membranes, polysaccharides, cell wall anchor, potent pills, etc., with or without metabolites and products. So what does that even mean? So let's go back up here, make more sense. So the importance of prebiotic postbiotics, we all know, we just talked about that. But there's not a lot of conversation about what postbiotics are. So let's highlight this. Let's go into it. Postbiotics are metabolites or byproducts of the fermentation process by probiotic bacteria, the good bacteria in your gut. Probiotics feed on prebiotics, your fertilizer, and produce postbiotics. The three are part of the same process. They complement each other and all play a critical role in your gut health. In a 2020 study published in Nutrients, using postbiotics can be an effective strategy for improved gut health. Some of the benefits we tend to attribute to probiotics actually come from the benefits of postbiotics. Postbiotics come to us, those metabolites, many benefits, improve digestive health, immune function, and more. You can learn about the short chain fatty acids. So what does that include? As we went over butyrate the other day, short chain fatty acids. So you can go back and listen to that video, and the blog post with all that in here is on wpots.net. What are short chain fatty acids? Get rid of this pop-up. And the role of butyrate. Now we've got enzymes, lipopolysaccharides, exopolysaccharides, bacterial lysates, which are many form a mix of bacterial components, cell wall fragments, cell-free supernatants made by bacteria and yeast, vitamins, amino acids, and metabolites. So interesting. We'll finish up here. Various nutrients. What are types of postbiotics? B vitamins, vitamin K, and various amino acids. Antimicrobial peptides, short chain fatty acid, we talked about, optimize acid base balance in your GI tract, promote growth of good bacteria, and suppress pathogens. Carbohydrate active enzymes helps probiotics digest fibers, produce postbiotics. Hydrogen peroxide suppresses the growth of candida and other yeasts. So really important. Why do I go into all this? It means that we need to look at what we're eating, personalize that nutrition program, figure out, okay, do I need prebiotics? Should I figure out probiotics first and gut health before I start feeding bacteria? What if we're feeding the wrong ones? And then what purpose do I have with postbiotics? What are these? Why do I need these? So going over that, it's really important. So this is a great summary. Prebiotics, probiotics, postbiotics, specialized fiber that supports beneficial microbes present in the gut, live microorganisms that provide health benefits, and the postbiotics are products made by the bacteria. So if you're doing a strict carnivore diet, this is where I think people start to add in berries and some fruit. I think that fermented foods would be beneficial for a lot of people, and looking at making sure we're getting the good bacteria in there, avoiding the bad bacteria. Here's a good on the left, bifidobacteria, lactobacilli, different kinds of E. coli, production of vitamin K2. And then we've got the bad bacteria, can't say these names, C. Drulum, Campylobacter, Enterococcus, Flacus, Clostridium difficile. So these can be harmful bacteria. And so we want to look at the gut bacteria. So we want to strengthen the gut wall lining. And of course, we've talked about this a zillion times, but healthy gut versus leaky gut. And this is why we want to look at root cause, work backwards. So we want to improve the gut health, but sometimes we need to remove the bad guys first. So if we do a GI test, we can identify what's going on, correlate that with your blood chemistry panel if we have some elevated markers, and then looking at vitamin D in there too, and CRP gives us some clues to inflammation in your gut. And then a gut GI stool test is Genova Diagnostics, or a Wheaton gut zoomer test, and food sensitivity test. We can figure out what should you do to take ownership from your health, for your health. So healthy gut, we want good, tight junction, tight wall around our gut, and make sure we are not having a compromised gut. So if we do, we can improve that with a phased program. So we want to lower this inflammation, because if our gut, as we talked, Dr. Fasano, all disease, chronic disease starts in a leaky gut. So we want to identify, why do I have these different problems? And this is what happened to me 10 years ago with my adrenal exhaustion. I started to have all these random problems. Why? Because chronic stress impacts everything. And if we live life as a race, our immune system gets down, we have lower stomach acid, we have more gut infections coming in, SIBO can accumulate, poor HRV we'll get to, poor vagal tone is what we'll get to next. Inflammatory diet will cause more stress. Eating foods that you're reactive to causes more stress, and so on. So poor bile flow, enzyme production if our pancreas and our gallbladder, liver are not functioning. So all this can be connected to gut inflammation. So we want to look at food sensitivities, testing and not guessing. But there is, the challenges, I wish the prices would be half of what they are, because this is all expensive. I was just looking at pricing for wheat Zoomer food sensitivity panel 1 and 2 for a client, and it's $340. And a gut stool test is like $397, $400. So it's not cheap, and insurance does not cover it because it's functional medicine. So sadly, insurance covers pharmaceutical drugs. So food sensitivities versus allergies, you can read on here. Common sensitivities: wheat, gluten, milk, dairy, corn, eggs, and sugar. And you can have multiple issues. And then insulin resistance. So look at this, Dr. Jocker's postbiotics, I'll put in the show notes. But parasympathetic, leaky gut, you listen to Jody and I talk about heart rate variability. The vagus nerve triggers your digestion. So we want to make sure we have good vagal tone to stimulate secretion of saliva, to release stomach acid, help gastric motility, stimulate release of digest enzymes, lipase, amylase, trypsin to digest proteins, and to release bile. So gallbladder stores and concentrates bile, yellow, green fluid that's produced in the liver. When you eat a meal that contains fat, your gallbladder secretes bile to emulsify the fat for digestion. So we need to support the gallbladder and work on all proper digestion. So we'll get into this more, but what I want to talk to Jody about is exploring heart rate variability and gut health. As this article says on ResearchGate, there's more summaries about microbiome and how these gut bacteria are connected. So the gut and the heart communicate through complex network called gut-brain axis. That gut-brain axis involves the nervous system, immune system, and hormones. Studies suggest that changes in the gut microbiome may influence heart rate variability. It's a measure of how much your heart rate changes from beat to beat. Heart rate variability is considered an indicator of autonomic nervous system function, which controls involuntary functions as heart rate, digestion. Some studies have found that people with lower HRV, suggesting a less flexible autonomic nervous system, are more likely to have gut dysbiosis and an imbalance in microbiome. Other studies have found interventions that have improved gut health, such as probiotics, dietary changes, may also improve heart rate variability. Heart rate variability can be disrupted by disorders such as irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease. One study, here we are, let me mark me reading. One study conducted on mice, when they were not mice, found that those with disrupted microbiota have reduced heart rate variability compared to those with healthy microbiome. Another study involves humans. Luckily, we're humans, so that works. Found increasing diversity of the microbiome through probiotic use could improve heart rate variability. Research also suggests that a link between obesity and decreased heart rate variability, potentially linking gut health and heart health. It's essential to maintain a balanced and healthy microbiome, as it plays a vital role in regulating body's functions, including HRV. A diet rich in fiber is healthy. Overall, the research suggests potential connection between variable heart rate and gut health. More studies needed to understand the nature of this relationship. So interesting, certain metabolites, as we talked about in the beginning, produced by the gut microbiome, have been implicated in modulating autonomic nervous system and could potentially impact heart rate variability. Additionally, the gut microbiome is involved in the production of various bioactive compounds, including short-chain fatty acids, which have systemic effects, including potential influences on cardiovascular function. While these findings are intriguing, it's important to emphasize this area of research is still in its early stages. So take it with a grain of salt and apply it to your own biohacking heart rate variability tracking. So if you are on a gut healing protocol, you did a test, you know you have leaky gut, you are getting a protocol that's working for you, reversing gut inflammation, you're supporting your short chain fatty acid production as butyrate, you're measuring heart rate variability, you're improving your gut wall lining. So looking at Jody's essential oils, looking at your heart rate variability scores, all of this will be helpful to know, are you eating the right foods for your microbiome, and thinking, if are we really a host to the microbiome? and we need to give love to the good bacteria and feed it with fermented foods and post. So make sure we're getting those postbiotics, but looking at food sensitivities, looking at our, let's see what postbiotics. I want to go to postbiotics, benefits of them, and then prebiotic fibers. So I don't want you to think fiber is oats and barley, and we want to, most of us, when I work with clients, have identified we need to remove gluten grains and a lot of plant foods as kale, spinach, different things that high lectins, high phytates, high oxalates, high FODMAPs. We need to individualize that. So everyone's going to be different, how reactive. So plant-based diet might not be for most people. And so a carnivore diet might be a strict elimination for people, but we still need to make sure we're getting the prebiotic fibers. And that could be jicama, avocado, asparagus, apples. Those are good prebiotic foods to help your microbiome. So take out the oats, but leeks, jicama, garlic, if that works for you, dandelion, avocado, asparagus, apples. And then looking at your polyphenols somewhere in a list in one of my blogs. So look at all this information. I've got more on the way, but if you have questions and want to dive into different topics, let me know and I will tackle them on my Rabbit Hole podcast. Have a great day.